You were told the cuts were practical, that it was just about money, just about policy, that nothing was personal, and for a while it felt true, until you were the one that was living with the consequences. This shard comes from Night City. It's an internal NCPD report. It's not a mission, and it's not a confession. This is not a story that's meant to be read. It's a breakdown. Staffing was reduced, the coverage narrowed, and response time increased. There's no mention of victims. There's no names, just adjustments. And the shard doesn't say anyone made the wrong call. It explains why the calls made sense at the time. And that's the warning. Because this is not about cops. It's about what happens when responsibility gets explained away instead of carried. And here's where it turns. See, the NCPD did not collapse. It was just restructured. And neighborhoods were abandoned. They were deprioritized. And protection wasn't removed. It was just reallocated. And nothing sounds violent. Nothing sounds cruel either. And that's why it worked. Because when damage is described as logistics, nobody feels responsible for the outcome. And you didn't ignore the problem because you didn't care. You ignored it because the explanation sounded reasonable. You told yourself, this isn't on me anymore. And that sentence felt like relief. That's how disasters form without villains. And people keep showing up. They keep doing their part. They keep trusting that someone else is covering the rest. Until no one is. Now pull this out of Night City and think about a relationship. One person keeps saying, let's not get into it right now. Or I don't want to fight. Or can we talk later? So the other person carries it. They manage the tension. They adjust the behavior. And they swallow their needs. And it's not because they're weak. It's because they're trying to keep things stable. And nothing explodes. But something does erode. You didn't stay quiet because you matured. You stayed quiet because confronting it felt risky. And every time you delayed the conversation, the imbalance got easier to live with. And harder to fix. And see, that's not harmony. That's deferred damage. And back in Night City, the consequences didn't show up on paper. Crime did not spike immediately, and people didn't riot. Instead, protection became inconsistent. And when protection becomes inconsistent, people stop trusting it. Private security filled the gaps. Those who could pay adapted. And those who couldn't, they got exposed. And the system didn't fail. It worked exactly as designed. Now think about healthcare. You call, you're told to submit a request. And then you submit it. And then you wait. And no one's rude. No one is cruel either. Everybody follows the protocols. But your symptoms don't pause. You weren't ignored because no one cared. You were ignored because the system wasn't built to react to urgency fast enough. And while you waited, the cost quietly increased. And here's the pattern that this shard exposes. See, responsibility does not disappear. It moves. When systems optimize for efficiency, they push strain outward. They push strain onto individuals, onto relationships, onto people who don't have leverage. And the most dangerous lie sounds like this: I've done enough. And that's what the NCPD believed. That's what the relationship told itself. And that's what the healthcare system says every day. But responsibility does not end when you step back. It ends when the harm stops. And harm doesn't care who signed off on what. See, this chart isn't asking you to feel guilty. It's asking you to notice something you've done more than once. You didn't misunderstand the risk. You misunderstood how long responsibility lasts.